Hi everyone. So this week, the assignment was to discuss the top 10 inventions that we believe changed the world. So I'm briefly just going to go through each of my 10 that I submitted in the PowerPoint, talk about why they're important, a little bit about their history, and really what makes them unique and so special, and why they were part of my list. So to jump right into it, the first invention that we have is the wheel. It was discovered over 3,000 years ago, first used by potters and weavers, and really sparked a development in industrialization that allowed for inventions like the automobiles, the airplanes, and many other inventions to really spark from that as well. Next, we have the telephone. So first patented by Alexander Graham Bell in 1876. Basically, what the telephone does is, from a very high level, is basically transmit speech electrically through a distance, right? And so what it did was allow for, the communication of information, and really a lot of advancement in many industries like business and advertising in particular. So next we have the gas-fueled automobile, first created by Carl Benz in 1885. And this one's a pretty obvious one in how it really revolutionized the travel industry. And again, sort of businesses and trade really transformed as well because of this faster communication and easier mobility, obviously to move from place to place. So next we have the internet. So no really single inventor of the internet. It's sort of evolved over time. But in the United States, I read that it was first utilized as a sort of government weapon during the Cold War, which I found very interesting. And obviously today we have a plethora of applications for the internet, to sort of share information and communicate with each other. And so it's really streamlined communication processes and help this information to be accessed by lots of different people. So next we have the compass, which dates back to the time period of the Han Dynasty. The compass is essentially an instrument that has a magnetic element to display basically the direction of the Earth's magnetic field. So today we probably recognize it for navigational purposes, knowing which way is north, south, east, or west, or which way to sort of help us navigate which way to go. But something that I read about I found it very interesting was that it was first used for fortune telling. And so I thought that was a pretty neat fact to learn about, especially because now it's primarily used for navigation purposes. Afterwards, we have the light bulb. First commercially practical incandescent light was developed in 1879. Although there's some debate as to whether what specific elements of the light bulb were developed first by who. Um, Obviously, so many lighting advancements sprouted from this discovery. Today, all the kind of lights that you see are really sprouted from the base discovery of this light bulb, and so really moved us away from that use of candles and lanterns, and pushed us towards electrical lighting. After light bulb, we have refrigeration. So I read that in 1834 we have the first working vapor compression refrigeration system was built. And I think refrigeration is such an important invention because if you think about today how our food and beverages are really processed. I think it's amazing to think about how you'd only be able to eat food like a day or two after it was grown if we didn't have refrigeration, right? And so not only taking the food industry, but looking at sort of chemicals and science as well, looking how those industries are really revolutionized by refrigeration. And I think it all sort of boils down to the ability to kind of preserve things for a longer amount of time. After refrigeration, we look at the computer. So obviously, there's much debate about what date and which person really created the first computer. But just for sort of ease of this assignment, I put it down to Konrad Zuse, who made the first electromechanical binary programmable computer, and that was in 1936. And after doing a lot of research, it seems as if that this Zeuse's computer seems to be the first uh, computer that we can sort of relate to today's modern day computer. So that's why I chose this one. And I think, being able to store as much information and have as much processing power as we do with computers in today, really is just a testament to show how powerful of an invention this truly was. After the computer, have the printing press. So again, a lot of debate on the one person and date of this invention, but I brought down into the sort of more recent era and looked at Johannes Gutenberg's printing press, which was invented in the 15th century. What it really allowed for was the enablement of sort of mass production of books and spreading of knowledge, right? Um, as the printing press allowed for books to be printed in such large quantities, religion and education were able to really spread across a wide array of people, and across different continents, and so the spread of information and knowledge was really crucial, a really crucial part of something that came out of the printing press invention there. So then, to go on to number 10, the last invention I'm going to talk about is penicillin, which is an antibiotic discovered by Alexander Fleming in 1928. And it treats infections like pneumonia, gonorrhea, and rheumatic fever. And so I think this is super important as an invention because really changed science and how wounds and infections are treated within patients in hospitals. So I think that it's something we kind of take for granted today, knowing that these sort of basic antibiotics will be able to treat, have treatments for for these kind of diseases. But I think that if you look back 100 years ago, how many people were suffering from these kinds of diseases, and how many people were dying, it's crazy to believe that this kind of invention wasn't around there. So penicillin will be the last invention that I talk about, and looking forward to seeing you guys next week.